guys, welcome back to Simon Says Let's Play Games, board game reviews and reflections, and I'm your host, Nate Simons. Today's a little bit of a bonus episode. I've been doing these Gamers Ranch review videos. As a quick background there's a group of us that went to Gamers Ranch in Bland, Missouri in May of last year, 2023. And we came back and recorded a bunch of reviews on all the different games that we had played over the weekend. I've kind of been breaking those into different episodes to get reflections both from me and from the group of my buddies that attended the Gamers Ranch here. This episode I'm dubbing the bonus episode. I'm calling it All Others because this is actually the games that I didn't play at all. I don't know anything about these games other than what the guys have shared in the video here. So this video, the way it's going to go, I'm going to give a brief setup, kind of show you the Board Game Geek page and the title that we're talking about. But from there, it's basically, you'll hear from the rest of the guys on their experiences and reviews with the games. And I won't have much else to say. It's a shorter episode, but we are going through 11 total games. And we're actually going to kick it off here with the first game, which is Detective Club. So overall, this is ranked 850 and Party Games 34. So let's hear what the guys had to say on this one.
It is similar to a few other games where you have some abstract art and you're using that abstract art to try to determine who in the group is the imposter or doesn't isn't on the same team as everybody else. So there's we call it Eat Poop You Cat, but what is it Telephone Pictionary? Is that the name?
No. You're thinking of a Fake Artist Goes to New York. It's got a Fake Artist Goes to New York or a Spyfall type thing where there's one person who doesn't know what's going on and everyone else is in on it.
Mm-hmm. And so the art is in the same vein as Dixit, where everything is very abstract and you can try to make connections across your cards, trying to help everyone identify. Actually, you don't want to identify as the main player who the odd man out is. And overall, across most of these games that I've played, I like this one the best. I thought the way that they incorporated the abstract art was pretty enjoyable in this one, and I would say overall it probably matters who you're playing with, but I had a good time playing this game.
Yeah, it's a party game. It is very much like Dixit. I mean, you can see from the artwork, it is Dixit-ish. I did not like Dixit. Like, there's no creativity in Dixit or very little creativity in Dixit. This game is fun because you have to be creative in your explanations in terms of why you played the card. And especially if you're the person who's not in on it, you have to be observing what other people are playing. What are maybe the similarities between those cards that they're playing? And then once it's revealed what the theme is, and it starts to go around the table and everybody has to explain why they played the card that they played. It can be challenging as the person who's not in on it to think quickly on your feet. And the explanations are funny. It's probably a very group dependent game. If you play with dry people, this game's going to fall flat. But if you've got creative people that have good personalities, it's a good party game. I will say for me, it does not reach the level of Fake Artist Goes to New York, which I find superior to this game in every way, but it's fun.
Yeah, this game led to some pretty hilarious circumstances, like if the imposter was the first one to have to explain, or maybe the first one after, and they had no context behind why or what word it was or why they should have picked it. I feel like I got unjustly made crap of a bunch by the person that didn't remember anything about this game, but then I ran away and crushed everyone on this game. So
did you really?
Yeah, it was you. Yeah. Like, why? Dustin's gonna play a crappy card. Like, why would you pick that? Like, Well,
Well,
yeah.
and like I'll just say, like I thought it was such a weird experience. Um, like it was like an apples to apples experience for me, which like is the game I rag on all the time because it's just like people say whatever they want and you just pick and whatever. Like that's the feeling I had coming out of this. There was one person who like like it got to them and they were like, I just picked it because I picked it. And then like they had zero explanation. They didn't even try, and nobody voted on him to be the imposter. And I don't think he was the imposter, but I was just like, and it was the group we happened to play with was a bit of a mixed group, at least from my perspective. I didn't know 3 or 4 of those guys prior to the weekend very well, so I just was having a really hard time reading people and what they were, were they lying, were they not? And then if somebody just refused to even like say anything, I was like, well, how? I don't even know how to evaluate this. So I just thought it was kind of a mess.
Okay. Next up on the list here is Brass Birmingham. I mean, I'm obviously aware of this game. It is the #1 game on BoardGameGeek.com, and it is also the #1 strategy game. However, I have not played this. I've played the older versions of Brass, but let's hear what the guys had to say on this one.
This is my game I read the rules to, so yeah, obviously I should take this one. But to be fair, and I've wanted to say this since Dan was ragging on me, we went down there for my birthday and I did a lot of the planning up front. So I assumed I was going to be fed by all of these turds that joined us. Anyway, Brass Birmingham, I personally don't know why it would have been #1 on BGG for so long, especially with Brass having been in the market for quite some time. There are some additional features with some unique port abilities and a few other commodities, I believe, that were being traded here. But overall, very similar to Brass. If you played that before, it is you have a lot of industry on your own personal board that you are trying to get out on the board in 2 different eras. You've got the canal era and the rail era, and as you do so, those buildings that are going to produce those commodities have only specific places that they can go, and you can build from your network with a general commodity card or into any specific city with a city card itself. And so there is a bit of a race aspect as far as it's not truly an area control game, but there is some aspect of that here. There's also resource management and replenishment aspects to it. But overall, I still really like this as a new implementation to the original Brass. Did the additional function or additional rules, additional capabilities of this game make it shine in comparison? Not really. It added a little bit more flavor to the game, but overall, a very similar experience.
Yeah, I own Brass, which is now rebranded as Brass Lancashire, if I recall correctly. So I was interested to try this because I like Brass. It's not my favorite game, but it's a good game. This game is 90% Brass Lancashire. It does a few marginal things different, but if you've played the original Brass and haven't tried this, I don't think you need to go out of your way to try it. I am surprised it's the #1 rated game on Board Game Geek. I like it, but it probably wouldn't even be in my top 50. But it's a good, heavy economic game if you like that style of game.
Yeah, this is the first game that we played after we got out of a 6-hour car trip. It felt too heavy to be a first game. You're in it for the long haul. You got this big weekend. Yeah, this was a fine game, and I would play it again. Again, this goes back to my style. Like, this is one where I feel like I would benefit from multiple playthroughs. I think you guys Garrett, especially Dan, especially, you guys have an ability to like look at like the this types of games and derive strategies. Like I feel like I need to play it a few times to kind of get my bearings on it and then go from there. Not a knock on this game, but I don't know, it felt too heavy to be my first game of a long weekend. So
All right, the next game up here is Red Cathedral. Overall rank of 202. Strategy games, it is 147. I have played the White Castle, which is by the same design team as publishers, the Red Cathedral. But I really do enjoy the White Castle, and let's hear what the guys had to say on their experiences with the Red Cathedral.
Yeah, I did the rules teach on this one. So this game is medium weight Euro. Rules are pretty simple. Basically, there's 3 actions that you can take. One action is you're reserving a spot that you're committed to build later. A second action is actually building on the spot that you previously reserved. But the meat of the game is the third action, which is acquiring resources. So on this image you've got here, you can pick up a dice, and whichever dice you pick up, the number of pips that it's showing, you move it around the board that number of spaces. And there's a few ways to potentially modify that. And wherever it lands, you get the resources multiplied by the number of dice in that space, because every space can hold up to 3 dice. Plays pretty quick. I think we played it in under an hour. I thought it was a really solid little game. Like, I don't know that I'll buy it, but I would play this again if presented the option. I thought very highly of it.
yeah, I'm gonna go back to the point. Like I'd like to play this again. I don't think when I played it, like it was kind of fun. I don't think I fully really appreciated like the building of the cathedral and everything, and all that went into that. Like I feel I would benefit personally from multiple playthroughs on this one. Um, I this mechanic that you're displaying here was pretty innovative, or it's unique. I don't think I've seen this one. I did like that. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'd like to try. I'd play it again.
Yeah, I'll echo what they said. I thought it was good. I had a fun time. I was just sitting here trying to remember who won the game, and I cannot remember. Maybe Dan? I honestly don't know.
No,
But
it
I
was
think we were all
Justin.
pretty okay.
It,
I think we
it
were all
was
pretty close, honestly. Um,
um,
so like
yeah,
we
we
were
were.
all
Justin had 51. You and I had 44 and 45. So yeah, it was pretty
yeah.
tight.
Yeah, it was tight. And I would say we were, I don't know how diverse our strategies were, but that mechanic it was kind of a roundel like Mancala feel, like
Right.
kind of a mixture. That was definitely the unique part. It had the feels of one of those games where it's like oh, I need to do this, but to do this, I need to do this, and like you're just kind of like you're spinning yourself in a circle trying to think like, well, what do I want to do first, and like try to block someone else out, but I also need like these resources. Maybe I should spend 2 emeralds and really decorate my cathedral, whatever. I thought it was well designed. It was a fun game. It was not super heavy, but felt fun. Felt like you accomplished something at the end.
Yeah. If you like Trajan, the mechanics of Trajan, this isn't identical to it, but the rondo mechanic is similar enough, except it's a shared rondo. So check it out if you like rondo mechanic.
Okay, next game up here is, I believe it's pronounced Findorff. Overall rank of 3610, 3,610, and strategy games 1,489. Let's see what the guys had to say on this one.
It's a Friedman Freeze game. It feels like an updated version of Power Grid. We had a really rough rules teach on it. So that it took us a really long time to get going in what is really not that complex a game. I actually wouldn't mind trying it again. I think I think the rules, we must have missed some stuff too, because it felt a little janky and broken in places. It ended up just being this race to like build these certain kinds of cards, and I don't know. I was just saying to Garrett earlier, like I feel like we had some of the markets. I feel like maybe we had screwed up because they didn't seem to be functioning correctly. So I don't think we knew how to play it correctly.
Yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't race to play it again, but at the same time, wasn't the worst game I played all weekend. It had some, I would say, some interesting, unique resource management and production features to it, and how you can, it's typical worker placement where you're actually not typical worker placement, but you're actually cycling through an order of operations in terms of the actions you can take. With kind of a regroup phase at the once you've dropped off the end of your board and have to cycle back around. So there were some unique mechanics, but overall, not racing played again.
Okay, next game here is Hamster Roll. Overall, 2087. Family Games is 637. And just for quick reference, this is a dexterity game. So let's hear what everybody had to say on this one.
This game was fun. Little dexterity game where you're bouncing these pieces on a wheel, and as you balance them, it forces the wheel to roll ahead and throws pieces all over the place. So picture Jenga on a wheel.
No,
Yeah, while
we
we were
played
driving.
this. We played this the first night we were there at like midnight. There was a group of us that were like, "We'll bang something out quick before bed." And I had heard of this game. I knew it was a dexterity game, and I didn't figure it would take very long. And it doesn't. Games take, I don't know, 10 minutes at most. And yeah, you're placing pieces. You're forced to place them in the next 1, 2, or 3 slots, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Like you have to play consistently, but as a group, you would determine which way the wheel is going to roll. And then as the wheel rolls forward, pieces on the backside of it can no longer be supported by those black wedges, and they fall off. And if they fall off, you acquire them, and the goal is to get rid of all your pieces. So it's a fun dexterity game. I don't know that I would buy it, but it's fun to play. So.
No,
Just
No,
the size of a
that's
gas
a
grill.
custom. Yeah, no,
no,
it's
that's
that
not
good.
it. Honestly, I actually am thinking about buying it. I think this would be fun with the family. I thought it was cute. It was very cute, very fun. Like, yeah.
Our next game up is Cryptid. Overall rank of 306. Falls into 2 categories here. Strategy games, this is 235, and family games, this is 63. So back to the group to hear what they had to say on this one.
Yeah, I like Cryptid. Dan and I had talked about this months ago. I think he actually just recently got rid of it. It's a deduction game where you are seeking out an imaginary creature, a Sasquatch or whatever it is, and each of the hexes has like a different environment on it, and there's a couple like landmarks and stuff, and everybody has like a clue that says, you know, the creature could be, is on sand, or is not on forest, or is within 3 spaces of the white hex, or blah blah blah. So everyone's got their own. I forget if it's 1 or 2. And so essentially the combination of everybody's clues would reveal there's one single space where the creature can be. And so you have an option to say, to basically place pieces or ask other people to place pieces. And so everybody has to follow only the rule that they know. And so you're trying to deduce from where everybody else is placing pieces where it possibly could be. So it was my first time playing it. We played it twice in a row. I thought it was interesting. I liked it. I thought it was a fun little game. I've heard the complaint is it feels a little random to people. You could stumble into the space. I mean, there's a ton of spaces, but you could stumble into it and just be like, "Is it here?" And it's like, "Yep, it is." Okay, and the game could end.
That happened in 2021 when we went to Gamers Ranch. Me, Garrett, and Aiden played this game, and like on the third turn, Aiden randomly guessed a spot, and it was where the cryptid was.
So, yeah, that's
So
the complaint.
it's a logic deduction game. It's good for a logic deduction game, but I told this to Matt. If I'm gonna play a game like that, I think Tobago is a better game than Cryptid. That's why I got rid of Cryptid.
Okay, the next game up here is Endless Winter Paleoamericans. This has an overall ranking of 283, and strategy games is 183. So back to the guys to see what they had to say on this one.
Yeah, so I'm the only one in this group that played Endless Winter. It lived up to its name. It was endless. It took us 4 hours to play. That is no fault of the game, though. That was the personalities at the table that mini-maxed this thing to death. At the end of the day, this game has 4 rounds, and in each round, you get 3 actions. So you really only get 12 turns over the course of the game. And when you take your action, you can put your guy in one of 5 spaces and execute to get the benefit. So you're either getting more cards, because it's sort of a deck building game, or you're getting animals that come into your tableau that are worth points at the end of the game. It's sort of intimidating from a board presence standpoint because there's a lot going on. You've got a main board where you're fulfilling your actions. You've got a separate board. You can see it in the picture on the left-hand side over there where there's like an area control aspect. There's a different third board where you're doing a different kind of area control, building monoliths. And then a fourth board where you're tracking how much your points are going to be worth at the end of the game. I thought overall it was fine. I wouldn't seek this out to play it again, but it was an enjoyable experience.
Next game on the list is Gravwell. This is the second edition publishing, 2021. The overall rank is 4,164, and we will see what the guys had to say on this one.
I think Gravwell was the first game I sat down and played when I got there. It had been on my list. Just intrigued me for some reason, although it's a light family fare. Kind of the setting is like you're these ships kind of exiting this black hole, and you have no propulsion, so you can only like use tractor beams and pull yourself relative to other ships and other space junk that you're going by. So it's kind of tricky because you might giving based on the order of when people play, you might think you're trying to pull yourself towards the ship in front of you, but if they zoom away before you do it, then you'll actually lock onto something behind you and pull yourself backwards. So it's kind of funny and fun at the beginning, and it's kind of a mess, and you go forward and back. And then towards the end, I don't know if it would play out this way every time, but you sort of need something to pull off of. Towards the end, me and another player were kind of, slingshotting back and forth off each other, which works out great. But of course, you realize like at some point you're going to have to sort of stab the other person in the back or whatever. He beat me to it and beat me out of the warp or whatever. So I was glad I got to try it. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, the next game up here is Paleo. This has an overall rank of 218. It falls into a couple categories here. Thematic games, it's 52, and strategic is 167. I believe it's mentioned in the review here, but this did win, I believe it's the 2022 Kennerspiel des Jahres. And so let's hear what the guys had to say on this one.
Yeah, this game I didn't play with anyone here. Hit my radar because it's the 2021 Kennerspiel des Jahres winner. So when a game wins that award, it's going to be on my radar because I do like the heavier style games. Having played it though, I don't think it's that heavy. It's certainly not light, but effectively it's a cooperative game. You are early humans sort of discovering the environment around you. The rule book walks you through how to play, but when you get done reading the rule book, they're like intentionally vague about a lot of things because much like early humans, there's a lot out there that's unknown to you, and the experience of the play simulates that really well. I thought I'm not much for theme. Like I'll play games where I'm making dresses or I'm a giant frog eating galaxies. Like I don't care. Like the game can stand alone for the mechanics, but this game I thought like really does well on theme. It does make you feel like you are an early human trying to figure out what's going on. So at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is complete this painting of a woolly mammoth on a cave wall. If you complete the 5 segments of that, you win. You lose if 5 of your tribesmen die because there's a mechanism where you have to feed them at the end of every day. It's a really clever game. Like the the mechanic of like you have a deck of cards, you only see the back of them. You can look at the top 3 of your cards, and from those 3, choose one. You don't know what's on the front side of that card, but the back side informs you what might be there. So it will have like a river on it or a mountain or something along those lines. And you're like, oh, well, this card has a river with a deer on it. Like maybe I can hunt a deer and get some food. So you can get an idea what the card might be on the other side, but you never really know for sure. And then you cycle through the deck multiple times and you start to gain information, just like early humans would be like, you'd be like, oh, don't eat that berry because, you know, Ted died when he ate that berry before. So it's cool. Like I would play this game again. There's probably, I think 12 different decks in there that you can mix and match to scale up or scale down the difficulty. If you like cooperative games, this is one of the better ones that I've played, and it doesn't have a ton of rules overhead. And I think you can scale up the difficulty or scale it down to fit whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Next game here is Steam. This is actually a re-implementation of the game Age of Steam. Overall, this has a rank of 290, and within strategy games, it is 198. So let's hear what the guys had to say on this one.
I won't spend much time here. Steam, I own it. Don't get it to the table very often, so it was a good opportunity to do so with one person who had played before and a couple who hadn't. Whenever I teach a game to new people that I've played a fair amount, I try to illustrate some dominant strategies that have won in the past, which was build a lot of short little connections that are going to late in the game enable you to get ship 6 connection goods. And they did not heed my advice, so I did it and I crushed those fools. So that was about the end of it. Overall, really like Steam. It's a good game. I think the other 2 that were new to the game both indicated that they really enjoyed it, even though they struggled at the end, really optimizing some good shipping.
That's Steam Barons. That is yeah, that is an expansion to this game that makes it a completely different game and more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, Age of Steam does have some similarities in that you're building rail connections and claiming them. But yeah, different game for sure.
The next game we have is a little card game called just 10, T-E-N. Overall rank 1,453, and for family games, this is 404. Back to the group to see what they had to say.
10 was a fun little push your luck game with a deck of cards. I can't remember why I had run across it, but it was on my want to playlist, and yeah, so it was kind of cool. You basically you can like say, okay, I'm gonna keep going. There are number cards, and the number cards have a number obviously, or they have a color on them. And then there are like money cards, and you can bust on either, right? But they're adding up separately, and in fact, if I remember this correctly, the money cards subtract from the number cards. So if you go over 10 money, you bust. If you go over 10 numbers minus money, you bust. At any time, you can stop and you can say, I'm going to take all the number cards or I'm going to take all the money. And it's kind of cool because, like, if you take the money, then the number cards go out and other people can acquire them. But if you take the numbers, then everybody else gets the amount of money that you would have gotten. So it's kind of this interesting balance. And then there's a little auction mechanic as well for acquiring other cards that weren't acquired. So it was clever. It was fun. I don't know if I deduced a good strategy for it. I think we actually played it twice. I think we played it back to back. But yeah, I thought it was a well-designed game. I'll probably try it again. I would consider buying it. I think like it would be light enough maybe for a family, but complex enough to if you wanted to put a little bit more thought into it.
All right, that's it. That is actually a wrap for our Gamers Ranch reviews. As you can see, my cat Marvel here joined behind to say goodbye. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. This is the last in the series, and that is really all the games that we played over the course of the weekend. I am planning on doing one, I'll call it episode 0, where I don't talk about any games specifically, but I do want to just talk about the Gamers Ranch, kind of how I stumbled upon that location, that kind of getaway, and just overall thoughts from the group. Also do some brief introductions of kind of my background into gaming as well as some of the other guys there. So if you've subscribed, hopefully you get updates as I've posted that video here in the near future. Otherwise, thanks again for watching these videos. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more content from this channel. Thanks a lot.